Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Business of Scouting, the podcast where we talk about how the growth of leaders and the development of talent in the scouting program translates to the business world. Today, I'm happy to introduce a dear friend of mine, Neal Blasco. Neal and I go way back. We actually weren't even in the same city, but we worked on summer camp staff together at Camp Bahatsi and have stayed connected since then. Neal's gone on to be a pilot, which I know is an area of interest to many young scouts. So Neal, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your career right now and how you got there?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Neal, and I'm an old friend of Steve's. Like Steve mentioned, we go way back when we were teenagers and being in the scouting program and working at summer camp. But yeah, like most of us who moved on to professional careers, I went and got a 4-year degree. I graduated right after 9/11, and that led me to go into the Air Force as a career Air Force reservist. I flew from 4 different airplanes in the Air Force now, moved up in rank, led to an airline career as well. I'm now a captain at a major airline, and I've been in the airlines for almost 20 years.
Now, my recollection was, were you involved in Civil Air Patrol as well?
I did for about a year. We had a common friend, the other Steve, and and he got me to go try out Civil Air Patrol. So it didn't really fit with my life at the time, right? I was 16 and starting out in a new youth program, kind of late, and still trying to be in scouts and playing baseball in high school and doing a lot of different things. But yeah, what that did lead, that was another valuable youth program. When I went to officer training school in the Air Force, I could prepare my uniform. I could march an element around. Just it's amazing what you retain from your youth to be able to apply a few years later, especially when you're in your 20s. And but even today, over 20 years later from when we would consider ourselves young men.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my career, I was kind of that planner. I mapped out this career. I've seen my plan through. Blessed to have the health to do what I do. That's really the when you say someone's lucky to do something, my soapbox is always like you end up where you plan to be. You plan to do something, you do it, and really all you need is your health. That's the luck or the grace from God to be able to do something, is just that you're healthy and you're physically able to do it. Because then once you put your mind to something, which is what you learn very young, you're capable, capable of doing most things you want to do. Unless you want to be a Hollywood actor, I don't have the looks to be a Hollywood actor, but things you can go out and you need X, Y, and Z. You need this education. You need this level of experience, and you just go get it. And that's something I've taken away.
One of the things that I really value about the scouting program, and I want to just pull a thread here for a second. You mentioned your health several times. I think one of the things that's really valuable about scouting is that it really focuses on complete individuals. You mentioned being involved in sports and other programs, and I've been involved in those programs too. But I think sometimes, and this is not to discredit them, they have a narrow focus. Like when you're on the baseball field, it's a very physical thing. But I think one of the things that Scouts really works on is that complete portfolio. You're doing personal management, you're doing personal fitness, you're learning about first aid, like how to be part of a community, how to be self-reliant, this whole spectrum of skills that builds a complete individual and actually sets people up to be really strong community leaders. So can you tell me about how you learned about leadership from the scouting organization?
Yeah, for those who are unfamiliar, I mean, from day one, I would say less so from the Cub Scout point of view, but once you turn 11 and you graduate from Cub Scouts, especially, you're into this leadership ladder in scouting. You join a troop, you're in a patrol as the new kid, and there's another kid that was just like you a year or two ago, who's now leading you and a half dozen other guys just like you. And you're learning from them, and with a very short amount of time, you learn the basic skills that they have at that time. And then before you know it, a year or two in, you're now thrust into that leadership position. I'm talking about the patrol level, 6 to 10 scouts usually, and you're in a patrol, and your troop might have, at the time, my troop had 5 patrols, which was pretty large. And and then you're in this, you know, I hate to use paramilitary, right? They're not, you know, people see uniforms and they want to make it that. It's just, it's a very visible structure.
Yeah.
So you have the patrol, and then you have the whole troop, and you have, you know, scout masters being the adult leadership, and you have junior assistant scout masters as the older kids. And so everybody, as they move up from 11 years old up to 18, has a role to play in that. It's kind of an organizational chart. Like your first one that you're ever involved with in your whole life as a kid, I'm in an organization chart. This is where I am. This is the level I'm at. And you climb that ladder. And if you're involved, you go to your meetings every week, you go to camp, you do all the activities, you're going to make your way up. You're going to be put into different levels of responsibility, of more and more scouts, more and more programs. You know, the adult leaders take a hands-off approach to running the troop. It's really something that's in the hands of the scouts. Hey, this is your program, go run it. And
one thread that I want to pull here again is, like, you talked about the organizational structures, your first organizational structure. And I think one of the things that Scouts really gets right, that I see corporations like struggle with a little bit, is the relationship between role and rank. And the Scouts really nailed this. So a lot of times people get tied up with their title, like, and but it's actually a separate thing. And the thing that the Scouts really do is, rank is something that you earn. You demonstrate skills and then you acquire ranks. And the roles are totally separate from that. You can have a first-class scout be a patrol leader, a star scout be a patrol leader. It's not really, there's a correlation, obviously, as you get older and more mature and develop more skills. But it's good to have those things separate, because you can make personal achievement and then still function in that organization. And it's a very nuanced and subtle thing that people are learning, right, in the scouting program, that I think I didn't appreciate at the time, but having built organizations now, I think it's genius. And I've even talked to CEOs and to founders and things about this, and use this exact example from Scouts.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's ran just like a small business would be run. Hey, we've got 50 scouts. How are we going to organize them to all pull in the same direction? Put them in positions that they're qualified for, challenges them a little bit. You know, when they get into high school, they got too much going on. There's positions. Hey, we can stash them in this position for a little bit, take the load off of them so they can do all the things they want to do. Very much works the same way in the military as well. And it's all about maximizing your manpower, getting people where they need to be to both be productive and to grow. And yeah, like what you alluded to is kids learning for the first time. When you're in an organization, you fit somewhere. Yeah. And we're going to go find that place for you. And we're going to, hey, see if we can inspire you to climb for more responsibility and more skill.
So is there something that you've experienced in your professional career, either as a pilot or being in the organization, where you saw a direct connection to something that you learned or experienced in Scouts, where like that's your touchstone?
I think, yeah, you touched on initially, obviously the big one we started with is just your relationship with the adults and being a youth scout. It starts to be that almost the kind of relationship you'd have with an employer. Okay. So, you know, interviewing for your board review to make rank, it's like, hey, this is very much like a job interview. It's you're being asked questions. You know you're going to get some questions that you're going to be able to answer and just kill it. And there's going to be that one assistant scoutmaster is going to ask you the hard question and watch you squirm in the seat and see how you do. See how you're either able to explain the right answer or explain how you did something you did, whether or not they agreed with something you did. So that's a direct application to whether it's an interview for a civilian job, or you interview for position in the military as well. And of course, in the airlines, it's very when you get to be a pilot, it's like, okay, what happened to you in your past? How did you deal with it? What did you do? Why did you make this decision? And a lot of that can happen at a board review. And really, the first time you get those types of questions will be at a board review to make rank. And then a lot of interpersonal stuff. When you're man, I really feel like your experience in scouting really changes the first time you're a patrol leader. And you go, hey, Neal, this is yours. This is your patrol. Yep. These are your 6, 7, 8, 10 scouts. They're your responsibility. Get them here on time. Get them pulling the same direction. Hey, we're gonna go camp next weekend. When you hit the ground, get them to put up your patrol's area, put up that rain flag, get all the food together, get all your tents properly put up. And now you're leading people who are a year or two to your junior, and you're having for the first time others see you as a peer, and that peer or a mentor-mentee relationship starts to form, and that's the kind of relationship you're going to have in the workplace the whole rest of your life.
Yeah. I mean, I think the patrol leader role is, like you said, it's like becoming a manager for the first time. It's like you very quickly realize that just telling somebody to do something is insufficient.
Yeah.
Right. For a whole number of reasons. They could be insubordinate, but usually they just don't know. You aren't clear in what you want or expect, or they don't know how to do it. Right. So there's all of this back and forth, and it is just an invaluable, like you cannot put a price on the learnings that come from exactly the situation that you described. Is like, people, you always see scouts initially that they go to yelling, and you realize that yelling doesn't work. It's not that they either won't hear you or they're being like disobedient generally. And if they are, like, yelling isn't going to solve the problem. You have to find some other way to do it. Right.
Right. And exactly. That's when you start to learn everybody's different. Just because we're all Boy Scouts and we have similar interests, we're not all the same personality. We're not going to handle things the same way. You're going to find points of pressure. Yeah, not to yell, but maybe you bring mom in on this.
Yeah.
Or dad, hey, I called for Dylan and he didn't call me back. And like, oh, mom's not going to go follow up with him. Hey, how come you didn't call your patrol leader back?
Yeah.
Or you don't want that tactic with that guy because he hates that you went and called his parents. So maybe there's a different way you can get to him, or through his friends, or at school, whatever. But you start to learn there's no one fits inside a small box way to lead each individual person. And you start to develop a sense of who people are and what buttons to push for each individual person to get your whole patrol. Now, once they all show up to go pull in the same direction, even though we're all different. So, when you're 12, 13 years old, like that's pretty heavy. And you said it earlier when we were talking before. You don't realize that's happening to you as you're doing that while you're a patrol leader. You don't realize you're learning. It's just like, oh, I just got to get Scotty over here. Like, he doesn't pick up the phone. Like, how am I going to get him here?
Yeah.
But everything that goes with that to eventually have it work out, you don't realize you just learned a life skill. You just learned a foundational ability to motivate people and push the right buttons. So I thought, when you brought this up to me a week ago about doing this, it's like, oh yeah, wow, yeah, a patrol leader. Holy cow. That's where I learned a lot of the big stuff that I do even today. So at 13 years old, when we're many decades now from being that age, and oh yeah, I've been
many decades.
You think, oh, I've done this all my adulthood, and you think back and you go, wait a minute, no, I've been doing this for a really long time. And when you get back to, you think about who you know from back home, it's like, oh yeah, these are all people who were in my scout troop, and this happened, that happened. I had him in my patrol for 1 year, and we got a lot out of this kid that we thought maybe was just going to be a minimum participator and not help out a whole lot. And then all of a sudden, boom, before you know, you're helping him with his Eagle Scout project.
Yeah.
So it's just really cool to see, most of the time when you're put in that leadership position, you're just rooting for other people. I want to see these people grow. I want to help them. I want to be a leader, right? It's in the word leader. And you don't realize that at the end, you're really just rooting for other people and developing a personal relationship that sometimes lasts till we're in our 40s and doing a podcast about the boys, being in Scouts. So here we are. We're kind of living proof.
So looking back, is there any sort of piece of advice that you would give to a younger scout or your younger self as you think back about your sort of professional journey here?
Yeah. It's funny. It's the thing they tell you right when you join, right? Like, hey, you're going to be here 11 to 18. You have to stick with it. And high school is going to be a busy time. So my recommendation I always go back to it. Kids will come up, visit me in the cockpit at work and say, oh, what are you up to? Oh, you're in Boy Scouts. I'll say, hey, finish your merit badges, do all that busy work, up until your Eagle Scout project, get it done as much as you can before you hit high school.
And that's a life lesson in and of itself. When you go into the real world, the amount of paperwork and bureaucracy and stuff, like the time you're like, why do I have to do this? But it's a life skill of like, how do you get stuff done?
Yeah. And it's knowing where you are in your life, in your progression as a young person and where you are. It's like, hey, an Eagle Scout project, holy cow, that's cosmic. I can't think about that when I'm 11, 12, 13 years old. But what you can control right now is hack away at the merit badges, go to scout camp, come back with an armload of merit badges.
Yeah.
Control what you can control. So, get those things done. Don't put them off. So now at least, because the Eagle Scout project, you can't hack away at that early, right? It's like you kind of need to be in that mid-teenage era to have some of those skills developed in you through the program before you can attack that. So, but then get to where that's the only thing remaining, and do all those leadership positions, take in all the information, go through all the development, and then, okay, now it's time to hit that capstone and finish your Eagle Scout, right in the middle of high school. You're 16, 17 years old, and you're taking this program for everything it's going to give to you. So, plan it out. Yeah. Be ready. Don't put it off. You don't say, hey, I'm 12. I've got six more years to do this. It's like, well, you got time right now.
Yeah.
Like, give me a merit badge booklet. Let's see what we can do today. So that'd be my advice to a beginning scout just starting out.
So you mentioned merit badges. Do you have a favorite merit badge or one that you feel like really impacted your career?
Absolutely. Wilderness Survival is my favorite merit badge ever.
Yeah.
By a lot. Some of my best core memories of my youth were, not just when I got my Wilderness Survival merit badge, but then when we were working up at camp and going out when they'd have that Thursday night, overnight in their shelter and going with the instructor and doing it again and over and just building the most incredible structures you could build with some branches and some boughs, right?
Yeah.
And it led to me, I had to go to survival school of the Air Force. I mean, we just had a shot down aircrew member in the current conflict get rescued, doing the things we learned in what we call SEER, survive, evade, resist, escape.
Yeah.
And I remember going our first night in the woods. It was December up in Spokane, Washington, the mountains there, the Colville National Forest is where we do that training. And there's about 1.5 feet of snow. And I built my shelter and I went right to sleep.
Yeah.
And everybody the next morning, they're like, Neal, how do you do it? You said good night, and we heard you snoring within like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's -5 outside Fahrenheit. I
Yeah.
was like, well, shoot. I was like, well, you guys need to learn how to build a quality shelter because I already know how to do that, and that's right out of Wilderness Survival. And I built the coziest shelter ever and went to sleep in -5 out in the winter and up in Washington State. So it's paid off.
It's my favorite merit badge too. And it really gives you a sense of like self-reliance. Like I remember watching my son, he did it his first year, and it's an aggressive merit badge to do your first year at summer camp when you're like 12 years old or whatever, right? 11, 12. And like, he really came back a different kid after that. Like, it's one of those things you're not sure you can do it. Like you've never spent the night out, like without a tent or anything like that. Yeah. And so to like come back and just be a baller, like, you can drop me anywhere and I'll be okay. Like that level of self-confidence is like immeasurable in value.
Yeah. And that's, but beyond the wilderness skills, that's what's teaching is the self-confidence. Because even I would say, even in the Air Force survival course, it's all about, just like the Boy Scout merit badge. It's like, they're emphasizing you're capable of more than you think.
Yeah.
If we drop you in a bad situation, you're capable. And you have that confidence. And it's really awesome to hear. Yeah. The first year Boy Scouts, like, all right, I'm awesome. I can do anything. Yeah. I can survive out in the wilderness without a tent.
Yeah.
What else can I do? Right. So, it's really, and it's kind of quintessential. People think of Boy Scouts and Scouts in general as a wilderness program, even though it's a leadership program with all the wilderness strings attached to it. But yeah, that's it. To me, if you're really into that, it's kind of that's the big event right there. If you're into that sort of thing, Yeah.
Well, Neal, I appreciate you spending time with me today and talking about how Scouts has impacted your career and the value that it's really provided to you. I have kids in Scouts. I hope that other people who watch this see the value, other Scouts see the value and learn how to translate what we've talked about here into their careers. And And I wish you the best of luck in the future of your career.
Awesome, Steve. Great to reconnect. Thanks for having me on this, on your podcast. Really appreciate you asking me to be on.
Sounds good. Thanks, Neal.
All right. Thanks, Steve.